Have you ever heard a story so beautiful, yet so forbidden, that it could tear apart a family and shake an entire city? Tonight, I bring you a tale unlike any other. A story of love, worth, betrayal, and a secret so dangerous, it was hidden behind mansion walls in the heart of Lagos. This is the story of Amora and Kayameka, twin sisters, stunning, wealthy, and admired by many, but bound together by a love the world would never accept. What begins as a bond of innocence quickly unfolds into passion, danger, and choices that no one dares to speak of. Stay with me as we walk into the golden gates of their lives, uncovering every secret, every betrayal, and every moment that led them to the edge of destiny. Now, let's begin. Lagos never sleeps. Its streets throb with restless energy, its skyline painted with flashing lights and endless ambition. In the heart of Ikoyi, guarded by iron gates and tall fences, stood a mansion whispered about in hushed tones, home to Chief Okoro, a billionaire with influence stretching across borders. Inside this fortress lived his twin daughters, Amora and Kayameka, just 20 years old, yet already queens in their own world. Amora, with her red-colored smooth long hair, carried a fiery energy that demanded attention. Kayameka, with her neatly styled black long hair, was elegance personified, quiet yet deeply magnetic. Together, they were the obsession of Lagos society, and the secret envy of every young woman who wished to be them. But wealth cannot hide everything. Behind closed doors, when the music of parties faded and their father's laughter died into silence, Amora and Kayameka's world grew complicated. Their bond was more than just sisterhood, it was laced with glances too long, touches too soft, whispers too intimate. They lived under the same roof, yet carried a secret so fragile, it could either shatter them or bind them forever. It began on a rainy night. The sound of thunder rolled across Lagos skies, and power flickered off in their mansion, plunging everything into shadows. Amora stood by the window, her fiery hair illuminated by candlelight, her reflection glowing against the glass. Kayameka walked into the room quietly, her gown clinging to her figure, her hair falling over her shoulders. She paused, watching Amora in silence. Something about the moment felt different, charged, almost dangerous. Amora, she whispered softly, her voice barely cutting through the storm. Their eyes met. That single glance carried everything unspoken: fear, longing, desire, guilt. For a moment, time itself froze. Neither moved, neither breathed. The storm outside seemed like a reflection of the storm within their hearts. Kayameka reached for the candle, her hand brushing Amora's. The touch was accidental, yet deliberate. Both felt the heat linger too long. From that night forward, something had changed. The way they looked at each other. The way they lingered when alone. Their lives had always been woven together as sisters, but now, there was a fire burning beneath the threads, a fire they knew could consume them. In Lagos, secrets never stay hidden for long. The city has eyes everywhere: drivers, mates, friends who pretend, and rivals who smile too brightly. Though no one had proof, whispers began to rise about the Okoro sisters. At the grand parties their father hosted, people noticed how Amora never left Kayameka's side. How they danced together too closely, how their laughter carried a rhythm only they understood. Men approached them, eager to claim their attention, but both sisters dismissed every suitor with a smile that concealed their true hearts. Some said it was just the closeness of twins. Others whispered it was something darker, something forbidden. Their father remained blind to it, proud of his daughters, parading them before business partners like priceless jewels. Yet the staff of the mansion, the friends they kept in elite circles, the jealous women who envied them, all saw what was hidden between the lines. And so, the city began to watch. Waiting. Whispering. Predicting when the truth would finally tear through the silk curtains of wealth and spill into scandal. Every mansion has secrets, and theirs was no different. Tucked behind the grand library, beyond rows of imported books and ancient artifacts, was a hidden room, a place the twins had discovered as children. It became their sanctuary. A place where no eyes could see, no ears could hear. Here, they spoke truths they could never say in the open. Here, Amora leaned against velvet couches, her red hair falling over her shoulders, while Kamika traced her fingers along the gold-lined walls. It was in this room that their bond deepened, where glances turned into touches, and whispers into confessions. "I don't care what they say," Amora whispered one night, her voice trembling with both fear and determination. "I only care about you." Kayameka looked at her, her eyes glassy with unshed tears. "But Amora, we are sisters. This can never be." Yet even as she spoke, her heart betrayed her. Because she too felt the pull, the undeniable force that bound them. And in that secret room, far from the eyes of Lagos, they allowed themselves to exist as more than what the world permitted. One afternoon, their father entered the mansion with news that shifted the course of their lives. "My daughters," Chief Okoro announced proudly, "you have both been invited to the governor's gala next week. This is the moment the world will see you not just as my children, but as women ready for the future." The governor's gala was no ordinary event. It was the height of Lagos society, politicians, businessmen, foreign investors, all gathered under one roof. It was a place where alliances were forged, marriages arranged, and reputations built or destroyed. Amora's heart raced. She knew what this meant. At such events, men would line up to woo them, to claim them as wives, to tie them to political dynasties. But for Amora and Kayamika, the thought was terrifying. Because while the world saw them as golden daughters destined for powerful men, their hearts already belonged to each other. As they prepared for the gala, with designers and stylists flooding their mansion, the sisters exchanged worried glances. The night of the gala would not just test their loyalty to their father, it would test the strength of the bond they had fought so hard to keep hidden. The night of the gala arrived, and Lagos glowed brighter than the stars themselves. Luxury cars lined the street outside the governor's mansion, and cameras flashed as the elite of Nigeria made their entrance. Then came the Okoro sisters. Amora stepped out first, her red-colored long hair flowing like fire against her emerald gown, every eye turning as though she were the only woman alive. Kayameka followed, her neatly styled black hair pinned back in a sleek bun, her silver dress glimmering under the floodlights like moonlight caught in human form. Gasps echoed. Murmurs spread. Reporters whispered to one another, the Okoro twins, breathtaking as always. Inside, the ballroom shimmered with chandeliers, laughter, and soft jazz music. But for Amora and Kayamika, every step was heavy with dread. Suitors approached, politicians' sons, wealthy heirs, even foreign investors' children. Smiling politely, the sisters entertained the conversations, but beneath their poised facades, their hands brushed subtly, their eyes met across the crowd, their hearts tethered in silence. And then came the governor's nephew, Obinna. Handsome, charming, arrogant. He watched the sisters with a gaze too sharp, too curious. Unlike the others, Obinna was not fooled. He sensed something in the way they looked at each other, something forbidden. That night, under the chandeliers of Lagos' most powerful room, danger quietly entered their lives. Obinna was not a man who ignored what others missed. He was a predator among Lagos elites, ambitious, cunning, and driven by secrets. As he observed Amora and Kayamika, he noticed the smallest details others dismissed. The way Amora's gaze lingered on her sister's lips when she smiled. The way Kayamika unconsciously stepped closer whenever Amora spoke to another man. It was subtle, but clear to him. And Obinna's lips curved into a dangerous smile. That night, he approached them, his voice dripping with charm. Amora, Kayamika, you both light up this gala more than the chandeliers. Lagos has never seen such beauty in one family. Kayamika forced a polite laugh, while Amora's eyes narrowed, sensing something behind his words. Obinna leaned closer, lowering his voice. But beauty like yours, it hides secrets. Doesn't it? Amora froze. For a brief moment, her mask slipped. And Obinna saw it, confirmation of his suspicion. From that night on, he made it his mission to uncover their secret. Not because he cared about the truth, but because he knew secrets were weapons. And in Lagos, weapons were the currency of power. Days after the gala, life at the Okoro mansion seemed normal. Business meetings filled their father's schedule, designers brought in new gowns, and luxury cars came and went as usual. But in the shadows, Obinna was already moving. He began to follow them. Not openly, but through drivers, through friends, through whispers in the city. And then, one night, outside a restaurant in Victoria Island, he saw it. Amora and Kayamika, seated in a private corner, their laughter soft, their hands brushing across the table. No kiss. No blatant affection. But enough to confirm what he already knew. The next morning, a letter arrived at the mansion. No signature. Just words written in neat handwriting. Secrets are heavy things. The higher you rise, the harder the fall. If you want your secret safe, you will do exactly as I say. Amora read the note aloud, her fiery hair falling across her tense face. Kayamika's hands trembled as she clutched the paper. They knew. Someone had found out. And now, the life they had built on wealth and secrecy was crumbling into the hands of a man who would use their love as chains. Fear gripped the sisters like a cold hand. For the first time, their secret was no longer theirs. They sat in their hidden library room, the letter between them, silence heavier than gold. What do we do, Amora? Kayamika's voice cracked, her usually calm elegance shaken. If father finds out, if Lagos finds out, we will be ruined. Amora's jaw tightened. Her fiery spirit fought against despair. No. I won't let anyone use this against us. We've built our lives carefully, no man will take that from us. But even as she spoke, she knew the danger was real. Lagos society was merciless. One whisper, one scandal, and their father's empire could crumble. Kayamika, tears glistening in her eyes, leaned closer. Maybe we should stop. Maybe this is a sign. Amora turned sharply, her voice fierce. Stop. After everything. No, Kayamika. I love you. I'd burn Lagos to the ground before I give you up. The words hung in the air like fire, dangerous and intoxicating. And for a moment, Kayamika's fear melted into the warmth of Amora's conviction. But outside the hidden room, the walls seemed to close in. Because someone, somewhere, was watching. A week later, Obinna revealed himself. He came to the mansion uninvited, strolling into the marble-floored living room as though he belonged there. Chief Okoro welcomed him warmly, unaware of the storm he carried. Obinna's eyes found the sisters instantly, and his smile was sharp as glass. "Amora. Kayameka. A pleasure, as always." Later, when their father stepped away, Obinna cornered them in the hallway. His voice dropped, cold and deliberate. "I know your secret. The world may think you're perfect daughters, but I know what happens behind closed doors." Kayameka paled, her hands trembling. Amora, however, met his gaze with fire. "What do you want?" she hissed. Obinna's smile widened. "Loyalty, favors, access. I don't want money. I want power. And with you two under my control, I'll have it." Amora's blood boiled, but she knew this was no empty threat. One word from Obinna, and the whispers would turn into scandal. That night, the sisters lay awake in silence. The price of their love was no longer just secrecy. It was obedience. Submission. A lifetime of being bound to a man who saw their love not as sacred, but as leverage. The mansion no longer felt like home. Its marble floors, its gold-framed mirrors, its velvet curtains, all of it felt like a cage. Obinna's shadow lingered in every corner, even when he was gone. The sisters no longer laughed freely. Their secret room became a place of silence rather than joy. Every whisper felt dangerous, every glance too heavy with fear. Kayameka began to withdraw, her usually steady elegance dimming. She walked the halls with lowered eyes, afraid of who might be watching. Amora, however, burned with anger. Her red-colored long hair became a symbol of her fiery spirit, her determination not to bow. One evening, as they sat together in their secret room, Kayameka whispered, "Amora, maybe this is our punishment. Maybe God himself is warning us." Amora snapped, her voice trembling with both fury and pain. "No, Kayameka. Don't you see? He's the sinner here, not us. Love cannot be seen, but blackmail is." The words echoed between them, raw and sharp. For the first time, Kayameka looked at her sister not with fear, but with quiet strength. Perhaps they did not have to bow to Obinna. Perhaps there was another way. Obinna's demands grew bolder. He called them at night, summoning them to dinners, insisting they use their influence to grant him access to their father's business connections. Each time, Amora's anger grew. One night, at a dinner in Victoria Island, Obinna leaned close, his voice dripping with arrogance. "You see, Amora, with you and your sister under my thumb, Lagos will bend to me. You should be grateful. I could destroy you instead." Amora's eyes blazed. She leaned forward, her tone icy. "Do not mistake fear for obedience, Obinna. We may play your game for now, but games always end." For a second, Obinna's neck faltered. He was not used to resistance. Not from women. And certainly not from those he thought he owned. That night, Amora told Kayameka her plan. "We cannot stay silent forever. If we give him an inch, he'll take our souls. We fight, or we die in chains." Kayameka trembled, torn between terror and loyalty. But when she saw the fire in Amora's eyes, something in her heart hardened. She nodded slowly. For the first time, the sisters agreed the war had begun. In Lagos, power was not only found in money. It was found in secrets, alliances, and shadows. Amora knew this. So one evening, she sought out an old friend from university, Ngozi, a brilliant but controversial journalist known for uncovering scandals. They met in a quiet lounge in Lekki, the music low, the lights dim. Amora, dressed in a flowing black gown, leaned across the table, her voice low. Ngozi, what I tell you cannot leave this room. But if I trust you, you may find the story of your career. Ngozi raised a brow. A story worth risking your father's wrath. Yes, Amara said, her voice sharp. Because this is not about my father. It's about a man who thinks he can use women as pawns. Obinna. Ngozi's expression shifted. She knew the name. Everyone in Lagos did. A politician's nephew, untouchable in many circles. But to hear that he was blackmailing the Okoro sisters. That was a story powerful enough to shatter walls. Kayameka, sitting quietly beside Amora, whispered nervously, "Are we not risking too much?" Amora took her hand under the table. Sometimes, to be free, you must risk everything. Word travels fast in Lagos, faster than the harm it carries. It wasn't long before Obinna heard whispers that the sisters had met with Ngozi. Furious, he stormed into their mansion one evening, his arrogance replaced with raw rage. He cornered them in the hallway, his voice like thunder. "Do you think you can play with me? Do you think Lagos will believe you over me? I am a man of power, you are two sisters with a sin." Kayameka flinched, her heart pounding. Amora, however, stood tall, her chin raised. "Power built on lies always crumbles, Obinna. Be careful. You may fall faster than you think." His eyes darkened. He leaned close, whispering with venom. "Defy me again, and I will burn your world down. I will not only destroy you. I will destroy your father, your name, everything you love." And then, with a cruel smile, he added, "You cannot win, Amora. You cannot win, Kayameka. You are trapped." As he stormed out, the sisters exchanged a glance. Fear clutched at their hearts, but beneath it, something else stirred. Resolve. If Obinna thought them weak, he was mistaken. The night after Obinna's warning, the sisters sat together in their hidden library room. Silence weighed heavy, broken only by the ticking of a golden clock on the wall. Kayameka turned to her sister, her voice trembling but steady. "Amora, what if he's right? What if we can't win?" Amora looked at her, eyes burning. "Then we lose together. But I will never abandon you. Not for him. Not for father. Not for Lagos. Never." Tears filled Kayameka's eyes. She reached for Amora's hand, squeezing tightly. "You've always been stronger than me, but I cannot live without you. If this is our fate, then so be it. Blood may bind us as sisters, but love binds us as more. And I will not let fear erase that." The words hung in the air, heavy and beautiful. In that moment, they chose each other, fully and without hesitation. No matter the cost. But even as they sealed their bond with whispered promises, fate was already moving. For Obinna was not finished. And Lagos itself was about to become a battlefield for their forbidden love. Obinna was no fool. He knew the sisters were plotting, and so, he set a trap. One night, he invited them to a private dinner at a high-rise hotel in Victoria Island. "Just us," he promised with a sly smile, "to settle our differences." Against their better judgment, the sisters went, because to refuse would raise suspicion in their father's eyes. The hotel suite glittered with wealth, crystal glasses, imported wines, and a view of Lagos that sparkled like diamonds. But beneath the glamour, danger lurked. Hidden cameras lined the room, recording every move. Obinna poured wine, speaking with honeyed words. You think you can outwit me, don't you? But Lagos loves scandal. Imagine what will happen when I release footage of the Okoro daughters, in each other's arms. Kayamika gasped, realizing too late. Amora's face hardened with fury. You're a coward, Obinna. A man too weak to build his own empire, so he destroys women instead. Obinna only smiled. Call me what you want. But when Lagos sees the truth, your empire ends. It was the moment they had dreaded, their secret, weaponized, ready to shatter everything. The sisters returned home shaken. But the worst betrayal was yet to come, from within their own walls. That night, as they hid in their secret library room, Chief Okoro burst in. In his hand, photos. Images of Amora and Kayamika together, stolen from Obinna's hidden cameras. His face was pale with fury, his voice trembling with both rage and disbelief. What is this abomination? He thundered. Kayamika collapsed into tears, her body shaking. Amora, however, stepped forward, her red hair glowing like fire in the dim light. Father, listen to me. But Chief Okoro cut her off, his voice breaking. You shame me. You shame this family. Do you not know what people will say? Do you not know the empire I built will crumble because of you too? Amora's chest ached, but her voice remained steady. We never asked for your empire. All we wanted was freedom. Love. His hand trembled as though ready to strike, but he turned away, covering his face. Get out. Both of you. Leave this house before dawn, and never return. The betrayer cut deeper than any blade. Their father, protector, provider, had cast them out. Before dawn, the sisters left the mansion with nothing but a suitcase each. No cars. No jewels. No bodyguards. The city that once bowed to them now looked like a stranger. They wandered through Lagos, Ikoyi, Lekki, the bustling streets of Victoria Island, feeling invisible among the crowds. The world that once adored them now whispered behind their backs. Tabloids screamed headlines, the Okoro scandal. Friends vanished. Doors closed. Their father's silence confirmed the truth, they were exiled. But even in exile, they had each other. Sitting on the balcony of a cheap rented flat, Lagos traffic roaring beneath them, Kayamika whispered through tears, "We lost everything, Amora." Everything. Amora turned to her, eyes fierce. Not everything. We still have love. And as long as we breathe, Obinna doesn't win. Kayamika leaned against her, broken yet comforted. In the distance, the city lights flickered like fading stars. They were no longer Lagos' golden daughters, but fugitives of their own love. And yet, deep within, a fire still burned. Because sometimes, exile is not an ending, but a beginning. Obinna, smug and arrogant, believed he had won. With the sisters disgraced, and their father disowning them, he moved boldly in Lagos circles, boasting of his power. But Amora was not done. One night, she and Kayamika appeared at a private fundraiser in Lekki, unguarded, uninvited, but fearless. The room went silent as whispers spread, the disgraced Okoro sisters, here. Obinna's smirk widened when he saw them. So, the fallen daughters return. Have you come to beg? Amora stepped forward, her voice steady. No, Obinna. We've come to end this. Ngozi, the journalist, entered behind them, holding files, photos, and recordings. Evidence of Obina's corruption, his blackmail schemes, his crimes buried under charm. Gasps filled the room as Ngozi raised her voice. Lagos deserves to know who you really are. Obina lunged forward in rage, but security restrained him. His mask shattered. His empire of fear collapsed under the weight of truth. And for the first time, the sisters were free. Freedom came at a price. The sisters had won against Obina, but their father never took them back. The city still whispered, still judged, still sneered at the love they shared. But in a small rented apartment overlooking the restless Lagos streets, Amora and Kayamika found peace. Their wealth was gone, their name was tarnished, but in each other's arms, they discovered something greater than gold. On a quiet evening, as the traffic hummed below, Kayamika whispered, "Amora, do you ever regret it? Loving me?" Amora smiled softly, brushing back her sister's hair. "Never. If I had to choose again, I would choose you. Always you." The world outside remained hostile, but their bond remained unbreakable. For though they were sisters, though their love was forbidden, it was also eternal. Their story became a quiet legend in Lagos, spoken in whispers, carried in the wind, remembered by those who knew that sometimes, love itself is the greatest rebellion. And so, the story of Amora and Kayamika comes to an end. A tale of wealth, betrayal, exile, and a love so forbidden, yet so powerful, it could not be destroyed. If this story touched your heart, if you felt the fire of their struggle and the weight of their choices, then do not let it fade here. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel for more powerful African folktales. And turn on notifications, so you never miss the next story that will grip your soul. Because every story holds a lesson, and every lesson deserves to be heard.